Welcome to episode 3 of the Ramnadi Online Festival. In the first two episodes, we met some very inspiring people and traveled along the length of the river. However, over the past few months, we haven't been able to go to the river as frequently as we'd like to. Of course, it's because of the pandemic and the lockdown that followed. Once the lockdown began, there was a sudden surge of improvement in the environmental parameters like the air quality and the water quality. We were curious about what was happening to our own Ramnadi. Was there any change in the river? Was there any change in the quality of its water? Let's find out. The Central Pollution Control Board announced in September that there isn't a significant improvement in the water quality of the major rivers of the country. The Ramnadi is part of the Krishna River basin. The Krishna, interestingly, showed slight improvement in its water quality, probably because of the shutdown of the industries on its banks. Speaking of the lockdown and the pandemic, it was extremely important for the Ramnadi Restoration Mission to talk about the health of the people on the banks of the Ramnadi while talking about the health of the river itself. Because the river is a reflection of the people and of the land. We are joined by Dr. Suresh Mizar for this section on health. Dr. Mizar is the General Manager for Health and CSR at Kirloskar Pneumatics, Pune. Let's hear from Dr. Mizar.
I'm going to talk about health and hygiene with a particular focus on water sanitation hygiene, that is WASH, in relation with Ramnadi Restoration Mission. So, what are going to be the highlights of my presentation? Firstly, I will dwell upon the WHO's perspective about WASH across the globe through humongous data that it has published. I will also talk about integration of water sanitation and hygiene related initiative with Ramnadi Restoration Mission. I would also like to emphasize need for us to relate with sustainability development goals and also to relate with current situation of COVID-19 pandemic. Lastly, I will dwell upon way forward through ideal versus action pyramid. Let us now look at WHO's water, sanitation, hygiene, and health perspective. Accessibility of WASH is absolutely essential and crucial for human health and well being. But millions of people globally still lack adequate and basic wash services, and consequently, that negatively impacts quality of their life. In fact, WHO says that it undermines their basic fundamental human rights. Poor wash services also weaken health systems, threaten health security, and place a heavy strain on economies. Let us see this data in detail. When it comes to households, 2 billion people globally still use a drinking water source that is contaminated with feces. 785 million people lack a basic drinking water facility, including 145 million people who are dependent on surface water. According to WHO, by 2025, half of the world's population will be living in water stressed areas. When it comes to sanitation, 2 billion people still do not have basic sanitation facilities. 673 million people across world still defecate in the open. At least 10% of world's population is thought to consume food irrigated by wastewater. Only 40% countries are on the track to achieve basic sanitation for all by 2030, which is a very important sustainability development goal. Look at hygiene related situation. Nearly three-fourths of the population in least developed countries lack hand washing facilities with soap and water. How ironical is it that in today's situation of COVID-19 pandemic, we are advocating very aggressively frequent and thorough hand washing, when 3 billion people still lack basic hand washing facilities at their homes. 1.6 billion people have limited facilities lacking soap, and 1.4 billion people do not have any facility at all for washing their hands. Look at the situation of healthcare facilities across the world. Around 1 in 4 healthcare facilities lack basic water service. 1 in 5 healthcare facilities have no sanitation service. 42% healthcare facilities lack hand hygiene facility. 40% healthcare facilities do not have system to segregate waste, including biomedical waste. Look at the schools. Fewer than 50% schools have toilets that are accessible for students. 19% of schools have no drinking water service. 23% schools have no sanitation service. 36% schools have no hygiene service, that is, no hand washing facility or no water is available in the hand washing facilities. Obviously, when the world and the populations are faced with such poor accessibility to wash and services related to it, lot of pressures are built in the system, and these populations are exposed to risks of infections and diseases like diarrheal diseases, enteric infections, mosquito breeding leading to outbreaks of malaria and dengue, infections from unsafe healthcare waste management. Pollution of drinking water with various chemicals also exposes populations to non communicable diseases like cancer, arsenicosis, fluorosis, and even dangers associated with microplastics. With such risks and populations under severe strain of inadequate water sanitation and hygiene facilities and services, their dignity and safety is affected. School attendance is low, livelihoods are affected, and above all, healthcare seeking behavior is negatively impacted. Let us now look at health burden of inadequate wash. WHO estimates that in 2016, 1.9 million deaths could have been prevented with adequate wash. The wash attributable disease burden amounts to 3.3% of global deaths, and saddeningly, the burden of deaths among children under 5 years is 13% because of inadequate wash services and facilities. Let us look at the diarrheal disease and data related to it. 8,29,000 wash related deaths are from diarrheal disease. Diarrhea is still a leading cause of death among children aged under 5 years. Cholera is still endemic in 69 countries, resulting in an estimated 2.5 million cases and 95,000 deaths per year worldwide. There is also a problem of neglected tropical diseases, and WHO says that it affects more than 1 billion people in 149 countries. Adequate water management practices can prevent mosquito from breeding and prevent outbreaks of malaria and dengue. WHO says that about half of the world's population is at risk of dengue. Adequate access to water facilitates safe food handling practices that prevent foodborne infections. There is also an emerging new problem in the world of antimicrobial resistance. The over-reliance on antibiotics as a result of poor wash conditions further drives the emergence of antimicrobial resistance. Universal access to wash could reduce usage of antibiotics by 60%. Worldwide, almost one-third of sepsis-related neonatal deaths each year may be attributable to antibiotic-resistant pathogens. There are also health risks from chemicals in drinking water. Arsenic, fluoride, lead, nitrate, and WHO has a list of 100 chemicals that are polluting drinking water and creating harmful effects for human health. And WHO also lists the guidelines and safe values for mitigating this crisis. At least 140 million people in 50 countries are drinking water containing excessive levels of arsenic. Skin lesions, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, impaired cognitive development in children are common hazards associated with chemical pollution of drinking water. Inadequate wash also burdens the health systems and economies. In fact, WHO says that if adequate money is invested in wash, the overall estimate gain for GDP would be 1.5% across the globe due to reduced healthcare costs and greater productivity. Hence, it is very clear from this exhaustive data that adequate wash services facilitate good health and well-being for communities and populations. And that is why it makes sense for us to relate with WHO's vision to substantially improve health through the safe management of water, sanitation, and hygiene services in all settings. And this WHO's vision is centered around drinking water quality and safety, sanitation and wastewater management, and water, sanitation, hygiene in healthcare facilities. And it is also based on evidence and monitoring through sustainability development goals. The vision also propagates to integrate water, sanitation, and hygiene related awareness and services with various health programs that are planned for community development. Is there a case for integrating WASH into a project like river restoration? Let us see what Conservation International has to say. It emphasizes the need to recognize that reliable access to water, sanitation, and hygiene is foundational to achieving conservation mission. In fact, it asks, if communities lack WASH, how can they find the time and energy and good health required for environmental stewardship? For that purpose, Conservation International has developed a theory of change model, which simply means that if communities are engaged in WASH initiatives, they are more motivated to work productively as land and water stewards, thus contributing to any conservation or restoration initiative planned as a part of community development. All of us are aware that there are 17 sustainable development goals, and all of these goals are interlinked to each other. But the three goals which are very much related to Ram Nadi Restoration Mission and WASH are goal number 3, good health and well-being; goal number 6, clean water and sanitation; goal number 13, climate change. And obviously, it goes without saying that no effort can be standalone. Partnerships, both public and private, will ensure sustainability and will bring about measurable change in flora and fauna, and most importantly, change in human beings in terms of behavior. I do believe that if we can relate ourselves to the new norms that will get set, if we follow them, if we act as role models in the community, as far as COVID-19 situation is concerned, I think the community will be more engaged with us, and they will participate more and more with us. They will feel safe with us, and hence it is upon us to engage the community not only on river restoration, but while we do so, engage the community for prevention of COVID 19 and what is now said as COVID appropriate behaviors. I think these are simple rules to follow, and unless, as role models, we demonstrate the behavior that is required in today's situation, there is little hope that communities will engage with us wholeheartedly. Coming to the last part of my presentation, I think the way forward, ideal versus action pyramid. Now, this is something that is not difficult to understand, but certainly difficult to practice. If you see the pyramid on the left side, it is the human behavior and the sense of responsibility that leads to eco actions and conservation efforts, leading to tangible results. And most of the time, the human behavior and responsibility is a result of our values, ethics, and the learning that we have since our childhood, or even for that matter, something that we have inculcated through generations. It is not easy to change behavior in any aspect of life, and hence the challenge is extremely tough if we keep engaging only with adults and institutions for making the change happen and become a reality. Adults and institutions understand everything, but when it comes to actions, the actions are extremely difficult to sustain, and eventually there is a fatigue and the initiatives die down their own death. In order to avoid this, I feel we have to think and brainstorm about the right sided approach or the right sided pyramid, which says that essentially when we are dealing with adults and institutions, our main intention should be to ensure that there is no further harm to the environment, especially in this context to Ram Nadi. Whatever corrective actions that are needed to be taken must be taken with strict timeline, and this can only be achieved through implementation of law, restoration efforts in a planned manner, and making adults and institutions accountable for their actions and behavior. I think if this is the major focus area, then at least the future harm to Ram Nadi will be prevented, and whatever is remaining of the Ram Nadi can be restored to its pristine glory. Simultaneously, we have to make the next generation ready for what we say as unconscious competence towards conservation. That means a lot of awareness drives have to be there for children of the community, for schools, for colleges, and involving the younger generation and creating the pressure groups of children and younger generation for the society at large. And if we are able to inculcate a preventive behavior and a sense of responsibility in the next generation, I am sure that they will not find that behavior as a burden when they grow up as adults. And certainly, then the left side pyramid will not be a daunting challenge. So, what is propagated or what is promoted as a way forward is the behavior that we want to inculcate for conservation has to be a way of life for us. It cannot be a burden for us. I think our generation and the previous generation and the previous generation have done enough harm to the environment and threatened the security of the future generations. It is upon us to make ourselves accountable and at the same time make our children ready for the challenges of conservation in their future life. I think it goes without saying again that all of us are together in this. Let's move forward with the zeal and the zest with which this online festival is organized, and what all of us will look forward to is action oriented Ram Nadi restoration mission. Thank you so much.
After that intense and informative session on health, it's time for a music break. Sagar Kulkarni is a volunteer of Jeevat Nadi and a structural engineer. He brings to us a bharud for the river.
सूर्य उगवला प्रकाश पडला आडव्या नदीवर आडव्या नदीवर तयेवर केमिकलचा मार आडव्या नदीवर तयेवर केमिकलचा मार आडव्या नदीवर तयेवर केमिकलचा मार विंचू चावला देवा रे देवा विंचू चावला तर काय मी करू विंचू चावला तर कुठं मी धावू विंचू चावला अहो विंचू चावला विंचू चावला विंचू चावला हो महाराज 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 असं झालं तरी काय काय की विषारी केमिकल्सचा विंचू चावला अरे 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 त्यात मनुष्य गुरफटून गेला आय आई ग त्याने नदीचा प्राण चालला महाराज अरे विंचू चावला महाराज अरे विंचू चावला महाराज विंचू चावला देवा रे देवा विंचू चावला तर काय मी करू विंचू चावला कुठं मी धावू विंचू विंचू चावला विंचू चावला विंचू चावला हो 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 महाराज हो मंडळी. तर आपल्या देशातल्या सगळ्या नद्या जवळजवळ 80% प्रदूषित झाल्यात त्या आपल्या घरातल्या केमिकल्स मुळे बरं. म्हणजे आपण जे घरात टूथपेस्ट साबण डिटर्जंट वापरतो त्याच्यामुळे हे सगळं पाणी कुठे जातं शेवटी नदीत. आणि रोज हजारो लाखो मासे जलवनस्पती मरण पावतायत बरं. तर या विंचवाला उतारा हा उतारा गंडा दोरा आरती दुपारती वाजंत्री संत्री आणि मंत्री असला उतारा चालत नाही. मग आपलं नदी सुशोभीकरणाचं टेंडर महाराज पास करू काय असला गाढवपणा तर मुळीच चालत नाही. मग आपलं नेहमीच काय ते व्हॉट्सअप वरून नदीबद्दलच्या कळकळीचे व्हिडिओज फॉरवर्ड करणे महाराज असलाही उतारा चालत नाही. या विंचवाला उतारा टूथपेस्ट साबण बंद करा हा म्हणजे तोंड धुणं आंघोळ बंद करा. तर रोज काय तेच 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 हे बेन डोक्यावर पडलंय बघा. अरे तोंड धुणं आंघोळीबद्दल बोललो का मी हा टूथपेस्ट साबण बंद करा म्हणजे काय काय टूथपेस्ट ऐवजी दंतमंजन वापरा साबणाऐवजी उठणं वापरा डिटर्जंट ऐवजी रिठा शिकाकाई विनेगर असे नैसर्गिक पर्याय निवडा. हे सगळं कसं तयार करायचं कसं वापरायचं याची सगळी इत्थंभूत माहिती www.jeevitnadi.org वर उपलब्ध आहे बरं. इतकंच काय तुम्ही आम्हाला केव्हाही बोलवा. विनोदी पथनाट्य सॉलिड वेस्ट मॅनेजमेंट वरती ये कचरा बोलताय अशी एकांकिका तसंच टॉक्सिन फ्री लाईफस्टाईल वरचे वर्कशॉप्स हे सगळे कार्यक्रम सादर करायला आम्ही केव्हाही आनंदाने तुमच्या जवळ येऊ. तर या विंचवाला उतारा टूथपेस्ट साबण डिटर्जंट बंद करा त्याऐवजी नैसर्गिक पर्याय निवडा. ही क्रांती तुमच्या घरातनं तुम्ही आजच सुरू करा आणि घर बसल्या नदी स्वच्छ करा. हा म्हणजे वर्क फ्रॉम होम तसं क्लीन फ्रॉम होम न महाराज. हा, आता आलं याच्या ध्यानात. तर अशा या जीवित नदीच्या साध्या सोप्या नैसर्गिक पर्यायानं अवघे सारिले या देशातले नदी प्रदूषण. सुखिया झाले भीमे तिरीजन, शांत झाली चंद्रभागा. पुंडलिक वरदे हरी विठ्ठल, श्री ज्ञानदेव तुकाराम. बोला पंढरीनाथ महाराज की जय.
Did you hear that? Sagar Kulkarni says we need to stop using toothpaste and soap. But how is that even possible? And what can we replace it with? The answers are fairly simple, and we have with us Shailaja Deshpande to talk about the alternatives. Shailaja Tai is a graduate in child psychology and an alumna of Ecological Society Pune. She has been working on river revival since 2014. Her actions and her presentations are based in the committed and passionate work done by Jeevit Nadi on the ground. So fasten your seat belts for toxin-free living with Shailaja Tai and Jeevit Nadi.
I'm going to talk to you about toxin-free living for Ram Nadi. Now, toxin-free is a little bit of a neglected subject, but an important one, which I need to discuss with you. So, what is toxin-free living? We are going to understand that in following slides, but we all know the state of the rivers. We know how the rivers look like. And do you know there is a research that about 60 to 70% of the pollution in the rivers is due to the domestic usage. Aren't you surprised that due to our usage, we are polluting the rivers 60 to 70%. And that's why the rivers are reflection of the people staying along her banks. So if I take it positively, that simply means that cleaning the rivers 60 to 70% is in my hands. So how do I go about it? Let's try to understand. Rivers are eternal. They have been there for generations together. And we all know that our ancestors were very careful about use of the rivers, and that's why we are able to enjoy the rivers today the way they are. We are getting ample of water, and Pune is blessed with this. But if we want to keep these rivers clean and naturally flowing for the next generations, it is high time that we start doing something about it. When I mentioned that 60 to 70% pollution in rivers is from domestic sector, I will broadly categorize it into three parts. Pollution, which we always see there is a lot of solid waste, garbage, plastic, all sort of junk inside. Then the encroachments, and the encroachments part always comes whenever there are floods. Extraction of the river is through the groundwater extraction, which we do it through our boring connections without recharging the boring water. Now, as I said, that pollution is something which you are visibly seen in form of the solid waste. But there is another pollution which is in form of liquid waste, which usually is blamed to industry and agriculture, because that's what the media says. But then we are also going to look into what is the domestic liquid pollution which enters the river. So I will distribute the domestic pollutants in very broad categories into four types: air pollution, water pollution, food, which we eat, which we buy the things from. So food pollution, and all other household activities. It could be in form of our furnitures, or it could be in form of different chemicals which we use, or our air fresheners and things like that. So what are those pollutants which we are using and which are impacting the river is something which we are going to see ahead. Now, Uh, since we are connecting this with the river, let me elaborate it more into how we should go into the pollution, the liquid pollution per se. So, if the river is getting all these polluted, I will categorize our water into two, again, broad sectors. One, which is a potable water, which we drink every day, and a wastewater which we create our wastewater through our different activities in daily life, right from brushing our teeth, cleaning utensils, washing clothes, and so on and so forth. So, potable water and wastewater could be the pollutants for our river. How? Let's see. Our drinking water. Our drinking water is supplied by the corporation, municipal corporations, which have so-called filtration plants. Every ward or every segment of our city has those filtration plants, and that particular area receives the filtered water to that area's community. So, what does this drinking water filtration contain? Which has a lime. Lime comes from mining, and we know the mines are the pollutants. Alum. Alum is a part of aluminium. Actually, alum is done by producing the bauxite, the bauxite which is available in the mines, which has further reaction with sulfuric acid, and alum is prepared. Chlorine is used for filtration, we all know, because it's antibacterial, it's anti-disinfectant, and many other multiple properties of chlorine. Uh, Chlorine is used extensively into filtration plants. But when we are getting this potable water, do we really know how much is the permissible limit of chlorine which should be there into the filtered water? Have we ever tried to find out the proportion of alum or lime or chlorine? Because these all are pollutant, and any excessive use of all these chemicals can cause pollution. Just to give you a word of caution, none of our domestic filters which we have installed into our homes can remove either chlorine or lime or alum from the water which we take in our own homes. So the chlorine is inevitable, which is going into our body unless we boil the water. 10 minutes boiling water, which doctors prescribe since we have been from our childhoods, rather, we are learning that the water which we drink should be boiled. So unless and until we have a boiled water, the chlorine, alum, and lime is going to enter our bodies. Over and above, how much is the chlorine content which we take? This is just an example which I am taking. So all type of bleaches will have chlorine, because chlorine bleach, you say. Then the detergents which advertise super white clothes will always have chlorine bleach. Then all type of suppositories, sanitary pads, whatever is white, our tissue papers, the toilet rolls, you just list out everything which looks white, which looks bleached, has to have a chlorine content, and that is entering into our body. So aren't we crossing the permissible limit of chlorine? Now, this is just one chemical I have given the account for. Let's look at the other chemicals which actually are there into our domestic usages. Starting from the toothpaste. Now, toothpaste has more than 10 to 12 chemicals into it, which are in form of phosphates, carbonates, different type of fragrances which the toothpaste has. Then shaving creams has another 15 to 20 type of chemicals. All bath accessories which we use in form of either liquid soap or bath soap will have another 8 to 10 chemicals. Floor and toilet cleaners will have more stronger chemicals, because that's what they do the advertisement. utensil cleaners, detergents, and the more stronger they are, more whiter they are, more polluted they are. And cosmetics of different types. So if I calculate or if I total it out, the number of chemicals which I am using right from the toothpaste to mosquito coil at night, I am consuming about 30 to 40 grams of chemicals into my day-to-day usage. And the same amount of chemicals are entering in my water through my wastewater. So if approximately along the bank of Ram Nadi, there is a population of about 3 lakh people, multiplied by 40 grams of chemicals which we release through our wastewater, comes to 12,000 kgs of chemicals entering the toxic chemicals. These are all toxic chemicals entering the river waters of Ram Nadi, over and above the agricultural runoff, which contains pesticides and fertilizers, and industrial pollution. So from domestic sector, 12,000 kgs per day is a huge amount which is entering into Ram Nadi. So is there a way out into this? What we have learned so far, that whatever number of toxicants we are taking, they are getting into our rivers or waste through our wastewater. So the toxins are going out. We are taking the toxins in and the toxins are going out. The same toxins enter the rivers. They go into the soils. On the same soils, we have our crops, and the crops provide us food. So it comes back to us in form of the food which we eat. So toxins in and toxins out is the vicious cycle which we continue to do, harming our health and harming health of the river. So health of the river and our health is directly linked with each other. And if we have to convert that into a vicious cycle, let's see what we can do. We start using non-toxic, biodegradable, and close to natural products. There are some good chemicals which can be called as useful chemicals. It's not that every chemical is a toxic chemical. The river has a digestive capacity, and she has a digestive capacity to digest the natural alternatives which are there. So how and what we can use is dental care. Dental care, for any dental care, you can use powders, any type of powders. Now to simplify this, if I say, do I say that I toothpaste my teeth when I get up in the morning? No, I don't say that. I say I brush my teeth. When I say brush my teeth, that simply means the brushing is the main activity which I do. And if that is what if I'm doing, then toothpaste is just a medium. So any other medium on the brush would clean my teeth. So any dental herbal powder available, including Triphala Churna, which is available in the medical stores, is good enough. Same thing for body care. Our ancestors were very smart, and they have created a wonderful way of life in form of Ayurvedas. Into those, there are medicinal herbs which have blends of combination of different herbal powders, and commonly we call it as uttanai or uptan in Hindi. So this is good. Half of our kitchen usage, besan or moong dal ka besan, masoor dal ka besan with milk is good enough. For hair care, we should be using shikakai and rita. When we see a lot of current changes at early age, by about 20 or 25, the youngsters start either graying by hair or balding. So if we need to stop this, we need to also introduce more and more natural alternatives. And if you want to look at it more into details, please do visit our website www.jeevitnadi.org. On that, you go to a page, Toxin Free Lifestyle, where we have given all the alternatives plus the recipes of every cleaner, domestic cleaner, as well as personal hygiene product, including the proportions to create them by way of do it yourself or DIY types. And there are many internet options available. You can go on the websites and find out the same. If you have more doubts to know, understand more scientific facts about it, please do call us through Ram Nadi Restoration Mission, and our organizers will be happy to give you more details. All-purpose cleaner. Now, vinegar and baking soda, which is available into our own kitchens, is the best all-purpose cleaner to clean your toilets, to clean your kitchen counters, your shelves, or anything what you want to clean with. It's a great antibacterial, it's a disinfectant, it's antiviral. White vinegar, which is used in the Chinese preparation, is the best all-purpose cleaner one can use. Then you can also make what you call is bioenzymes. If you're able to do the bioenzymes at home, that also can be a great all-purpose cleaner. Laundry detergent. If Rita or the soap nuts have the soaping properties, why not use the Rita powder as a detergent? And it is perfectly usable. Kindly go again on our website of www.jeevitnadi.org, and you will have a recipe of making this laundry detergents all by yourself. At the same time, you can also look for the natural alternatives, where we have given few addresses and telephone contact details where you can get these as you buy it from your grocery stores. But please remember, the ones which we are conveying it to you or which are there on our website are all the toxic free, which are useful or good for the rivers. So, if I have to be, if I decide that I need to clean my river 60 to 70% from my own home, what should I be doing? First is refuse. Refuse all toxic chemicals which I have been using right from my toothpaste to mosquito coil, and there are alternatives available. I have not just made any effort to go a bit out of the way, but now the time has come. We do not have time. The way the rivers are deteriorating and dying, unless and until every human being along the Ram Nadi bank starts making these transitions, the Ram Nadi is not going to be revived. It's not going to be rejuvenated. So let's start with our own self. Refuse toxic chemicals, refuse plastic, refuse instant buying, refuse packaging which comes in form of whatever online purchases we do. If you go online, they also have a return packaging or ecological packaging as a preference. Start using that. Reuse. Start using whatever you can use it from your old. Now in schools also, they are teaching best from waste. So probably our children are going to teach us how to reuse, recycle. Start composting your wet waste, make it into a compost, use it in your own gardens or in society's gardens. Then you can make brown leaf composting that will reduce burning of those dry leaves during the winters or during the foliage times, when a lot of carbon monoxide gets released, poisonous gases get released, creating the air pollution. Then recycle everything what you have into your own homes, the way you keep a newspaper ka raddi aside, start keeping your dry waste aside and directly give it to the recycler so that it goes into the proper hands for recycling it further. And if I start following all these, what we discussed just now, I'm sure we will be cleaning our rivers 60 to 70% from our own homes. So let's have this non toxic world. I again request you to go on our website, look for all these non toxic products which are shown into this photograph. If you want to have more details about it, please contact Ram Nadi Restoration Mission and they will be happy to give you all the details about the non-toxic world. Here, I have tried to give you an overview of the toxin-free lifestyle or how to clean our rivers sitting at home 60 to 70%. With the COVID rising around and there is a risk, we really do not need to go to the river. We can sit at home but do some transition in our lifestyle, get away from ease of use, get away from the chemicals, the toxic chemicals we are using. Let's become conscious buyers and try to save our Ram Nadi. Join Ram Nadi Restoration Mission. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.